That's it. Ok. Vamos lá. Hi, everyone. Welcome to another Masterclass, the Summertime Masterclass, as me and Alexandra would like to present to you. Today, we are going to talk about 5 JavaScript tips. We have Alexandra Maya with us. Has been on like 2 or 3 Masterclasses before, and today he is here to present with us with some JavaScript tips. So, hi, Alexandra, how are you?
Hi everyone. Hi João. How are you guys doing? So yeah, very happy to be presenting another topic for you guys. And
Yeah, let's go. Let's go. So, is this like your third masterclass, right? This
act alone, yes, but I've also
yeah
did my first one with 2 other colleagues.
yeah
So
the
it's like the
Christmas
fourth
one.
one.
Yeah,
Yeah, the Christmas
yeah.
one,
I remember
Christmas
that one.
onboarding. Yeah,
Yeah, but yeah, I remember that one. It was quite fun, and this one is also quite fun for you at home. I hope you enjoyed this presentation that Elshan has for you. And before we start this, please drop us a like and subscribe our YouTube channel. We will be more than happy if you do so. And of course, if you have any type of question about this topic and about this presentation, you can drop it on the comment section of this video. Me and Alexander will be more than happy to answer all of your questions. And yeah, without further ado, Alexander, you may be asking this. Alexander has wrote an article about this. You'll be able to check it on the description of this video. It's like a full guide for you to have this presentation on our blog. And yeah, Alexandre, first of all, thanks for this presentation. Thanks for being here. And yeah, can you enlighten the ones at home about why we are doing this masterclass and why this topic is so important?
yeah. So basically, these like 2+ years, I've been working without systems. And as a like front end slash UI developer, I deal on a daily basis with OutSystems developers, and I've noticed that some developers they have some lack of knowledge on JavaScript, and I believe once you start learning JavaScript, you can take like your programming skills to another level. So I think it's very important that everyone tries to improve their JavaScript. If you are working without systems, or even if you're working with any other programming language or on another framework, JavaScript is very used nowadays, not only with front end but also with back end.
Okay, so
So it's
these
always a plus to know
so
them.
these tools are not just useful for OutSystems, are also transversional to all other platforms, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So let's go. Let's do
Yeah.
this.
Okay. So we will start with an introduction, and then we will give you guys 5 tips on JavaScript, basically explaining some 5 things that personally I consider interesting, and it's definitely a plus to know about them. Uh, so, okay, introduction. So basically, what is JavaScript? JavaScript is a lightweight object programming language, which is used by several websites. But as I was saying before, it is not only for front end. JavaScript has been evolving a lot these late years, so you can also use it for backend. So you can, for example, develop an API with JavaScript. You have frameworks such as, for example, I've inserted there on the slides, Express, uh, Next.js. Uh, but today we will try to give you some tips that they are not specific for front end or back end. You can use it whenever necessary. And okay, let's dive into it. So One of the APIs that I like a lot on JavaScript, and I think it is very useful, is the Mutation Observer. I like to think of the Mutation Observer as like a more advanced event listener. In this case, this one is much more appropriated for front-end development. Yeah. So how does it work? Basically, the Mutation Observer allows you to observe. So you watch a node that is on your HTML, and then you provide some options. So, for example, you can just listen to changes on a specific attribute on that element, or you can try to understand changes on the subtree. So it may not even be on the element itself, but on some sub-element that's it, like inside that element. So basically what you do is, on a node, you have some options, and then you build with a constructor, calling the new mutation observer. You will define a callback function. So it is a function that will be executed when those changes, according to the options that you've provided, will happen on that element, or on the subtree of that element. So when one mutation, which is the name of the change, when it happens, that mutation happens, that callback function will be executed. And then you can do whatever you want. You can try, for example, you can pass a mutations parameter on that function, and then you can try to understand, okay, is this a mutation of the type that I want? And then you can do whatever you want. You can update other thing. It's up to you. And so you listen to those changes, you do whatever you want, and then at the end, you can just call the disconnect method so that you stop observing, well, which means you stop listening for changes in that node or subtree of that node. And yeah, that's pretty much the Mutation Observer. It's a bit heavy to use, so it may slow down a little bit your page. So it's not one thing that you want to use all the time for everything. But I believe if you are working, for example, with a component or with a pattern, that you can change it. Maybe you can take advantage of the Mutation Observer to listen for some change. For example, imagine you have a drop down that when you open it down, you want to do something, but you don't know when it is opening down. You can use the Mutation Observer. Okay, it opened down. Okay, now I want to do this. So it may save you in some situations. And yeah, that's it. It's very useful, but be careful. Don't use it everywhere, because it may slow down your page a bit. So another important, well, in this case, the Mutation Observer was an API. Now this is a method. It is the bind method. And basically the bind method, it returns a new function that, when invoked, has its this, and this is a special keyword that refers to the object. It is set to a specific value. For example, we have this example here. We've created a person object, and it has several key values. And you have first name, last name, and you have then a full name, which is a function. Then we also created another object, which is a member, that has a first name and a last name. And then we have created a variable, and you will, okay, imagine that in that variable, the let full name, instead of binding something to the person.fullname, we just call person.fullname. So we will call the function that is inside of the person object. If you do that, you will probably end up with undefined. Why? because the this inside of that function will refer to the window of the browser. And the window of the browser does not have, at least by default, any first name or last name property. So in this case, for example, you can bind to that function. So you can like offer to that function an object, and the this of that function will take that object in consideration. So in this example, we are binding the member object. So the variable full name would end up with Jane, some space, and Doe. If you would bind the person, then you could have the John Doe. So I believe bind is very important because you can like give context when sometimes you are like out of it. I have used it like in conjunction with the timeout. It's also not something that you use every day, but it can provide to be very useful in some specific scenarios. Okay, another one that I think it is very important is the spread operator. It's these three dots, and the spread syntax or operator, it can be used when all elements from an object or an array need to be included in a new array or object, or even if they should be applied like one by one in a new function arguments list. So basically, you can use it in three places, like on a function arguments list. And for example, an example for it would be, imagine that you want to get the max value of an array of numbers. You could use the mass.max function from JavaScript, and then you could spread your numbers array. So you would do just something like we have there, like dot numbers, and you will spread all your array into the max function from the mass, and then you would have the maximum value. In this case, what we are showing here in this small example, this small piece of code, is we have a constant numbers. We have these 4 numbers, and then if I want to copy them to another array, instead of going like one by one, for example, with a for loop, you can just spread all the elements from the first array, the numbers array, into the numbers copy. So the numbers copy will have all the values that is on the number. And then you can also do this for object literals. And it's basically it. It's fairly used, I believe, like with React and Angular. It has been used more than probably before. On a daily basis, I do not use it much, but sometimes it may be helpful. Okay, another one. To be honest, the object freeze, I think I never used it, but I believe it may have some good value, and I don't know if many people is aware of this function, so I decided to include here in our presentation. And basically, as the name says, you just freeze the object, meaning that it can no longer be changed. So you cannot add new properties, you cannot change existing ones, and you can also not remove the existing properties. Basically, the freeze, it returns the same object that was passed into the function. It does not like create a copy. And you may be wondering like, okay, so I can freeze the object. So it's like now the object is like immutable. So you cannot change everything. It's like it will be always with the same properties, same values. But okay, isn't that what a const do? and a constant value, although you cannot reassign. So for example, imagine that I have a person with the name John Doe. I cannot then and it's a constant value. I cannot reassign it, but I could go to that object and do something like person.name and change it to Jane Doe. It would be acceptable. So you can still change, although you cannot reassign. But with the object freeze, you won't be able to do that. So if you want one object that will stay like that, like forever, object freeze is like the way to go. And so in this case of this piece of code that we have here, we have an object with it's representing a person with the name John Doe. If you try to do person.name Jane Doe, you won't be able to do it. I believe either it will. I think it will just throw you some error if you try to do it, and then when you console log the person name, you will still have John Doe because the second line failed. Yeah, like I said, personally, I have never used it, but I discovered it and I was like, okay, I think this is a good one to include in our presentation because it can be useful in some very specific scenarios, I believe.
Okay.
And last but not least, I decided to introduce the map, filter, and reduce functions. So map and filter, they are two functions that they return the updated array, but reduce will reduce your array like into a single value. For example, we have like this image here to illustrate. When you do a map, you are like mapping into something else, so you're like transforming. When you filter, you are applying a filter. Some things will pass, others won't. And when you are reducing, you are like reducing everything into a single value or thing, like in the case of this image. And so I decided to provide here some examples. For example, we have the first example. We are using the map, and basically we are multiplying every number of that array by 2. So it will go one by one, and it just multiplies by 2. This is a very simple example, but for example, if you know React, it is also very useful because you will not just transform one number into another, or just like one letter into something else. You can like just have some properties and build something else, like a list item inside of an unordered list, for example. Then we have the filter, which I also think it's very important and it's very used. And basically, what does it do? It will provide a function. In this case, we are providing a function to check if it is an even number. So you are getting, you have that condition in there, and all the numbers in the array will go like against that condition. If it passes, it will be on the updated array. If it does not pass that condition, it will not be part of the resulting array. So for example, in this case, I believe we would have just 2 and 4 on the updated array. And the last one, it's the reduce function. And this one is a bit trickier. The reduce function, it can accept, I believe it is up to 4 parameters. But in this case, we are just dealing with the accumulator and the number, which is the element, and we are adding that number to the accumulator. And we also have there a 0, which is the initial value. So in this case, what are we doing? you don't actually need to provide an initial value, but I think it's good to do it. So we will start with 0, and we are basically on each iteration, we are appending to the previous one the current number. So you will have 1 to 2 to 3 to 4 to 5, and then at the end we will end up with 15. You can also provide other parameters to the reduce, but just to demonstrate here in this demo, we just provided this simple example, but you can do something like much more complex. I believe this is like 3 big functions of JavaScript to deal with arrays. It's very useful. You can map into something else. You can filter. You can reduce. It's very good. The reduce, I've used it 1 or 2 times, but I believe the 3 of them they provide you to do complex things. I mean, I've seen several pieces of code. People use some map, then they filter, then reduce, then so you can build some complex thing with it.
Okay.
And so that's basically it. These are the 5 tips that I thought would be interesting to talk about. Some of them may work better in some scenarios, other are maybe more specific, but I believe all of them are fairly important. And JavaScript has been evolving a lot. I was doing some research on JavaScript when I was preparing this presentation, and I've seen online that JavaScript has over 1 million libraries, so it's huge. Yeah, you have libraries for everything and plugins to deal with whatever, maps, shards, as I've already talked about on a
you've talked about shards.
I don't know, deal with pop-ups. You can now build APIs on backend with JavaScript. So JavaScript is definitely one good language, I believe, to learn. And for OutSystems developers, it's always a plus, because the platform can take you up to some place, but then with JavaScript you can go further and you can do better things. It's basically it.
Thanks Alexandre. I think that the ones that got these really insightful tips from you, and I'm sure they are now able to apply them on their projects, I guess. But if you have any doubt about the application of any of these tips, you can always drop them on the comment section, that Alexandre, if he can help you doing so. And thanks for the tips, Alexandre, and thanks for the ones that who stood by till the end of this presentation to get everything about this. And see you on the next masterclass. And also, don't forget to drop us a like and subscribe our YouTube channel, and check Alexandre's work on the blog article that he wrote about this. And see you on the next one. Thanks, Alexandre. See you.
Thank you, guys. Bye.